Hello everyone and welcome back to Angela's Craft Room. Today I've got another card for you using this wonderful set that comes in the 2 CD case, Thoughts and Prayers. Now it just doesn't have to be sympathy. You can use it as a get well card, which we're going to do today. So that's the set that I'm using today. And this is the card that I made previously, and it's a very simple card. It's just a matter of layering different colors of cardstock. I've embossed this back panel and then just a little bit of sponging and stamping. So let's get started. So to start with, this time I'm changing the colors. So I'm going to have a piece of basic black, so that measures 11 inches long, 4 1/8 of an inch wide, and scored at 5.5. Now the reason I'm in Australia and RA4 size of Stampin' Up cardstock, if I cut it at 4 1/8, I can get 2 card bases out of one piece of A4 cardstock. If I cut it at 4 1/4, I have wasted cardstock. So that's a little tip. That's why I have cut that at 4 1/8. Okay, now I'll just go through the panels that I've cut. So then I've got a piece of Bermuda Bay, which is 3 7/8 of an inch by 3 1/4 of an inch, and I've gone ahead beforehand and run that through the Big Shot using my Petal Burst embossing folder. Okay, and then I've got a piece of Smoky Slate that's going to go down the center, and that's 2.5 inches by 5 1/4 of an inch. Okay, so that's going to go down the center, and then this piece of Very Vanilla is going to go right in the middle, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to sponge that as well, and that is 2 1/4 inches by 5 inches. So they're the pieces that we're going to use. And then for the inside of the card, it measures 5 1/4 inches by 3 7/8 of an inch. So we might do the inside of the card first. So I'll just grab my Misty. Bit of fluff on there. So what I'm going to do, out of the stamp set you have the tree and you have this lovely branch. The branch is going to go on the front of our card, and I'm going to stamp this tree on the inside, just so there's something on the inside of your card, so it's not looking blank. So I'm just going to stamp that one down, and I'm going to stamp it off the cardstock a little bit, just lining that up with my grid lines. Just bring in my Misty corner, and that'll hold it for me. And that's a piece of Smoky Slate, so I'm just going to stamp that in a piece using Early Espresso stamp pad. So if I do go off camera while I'm stamping, you're not missing out on anything. I'm just stamping up my stamp. And we might have to stamp it a couple of times. So let's put that down. Sometimes with the big stamps, when you're using a Misty, it is a bit difficult to get a full coverage, and you can see that I've missed a little bit there, so I'm going to re-stamp that. And that's a good thing about the Misty, you can re-stamp your image as many times as you like, so you don't get any misstamping. So I'm quite happy with that. So we'll just slide that up. So that's going to just go inside of our card. So I've just got a lawn fawn chamois that I love using. I just wipe my stamps over straight away and just cleans up straight away. And I'll just wipe that little bit of ink that got on the misty there. So I'm going to get rid of that. Sorry. Now I'm just going to grab a piece of grid paper just to protect my surface. Close up that ink pad for now. Now I'm just going to bring in my piece of basic black, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to glue that piece in there, and I'm going to be pretty brave and just use my snail straight away. Now that piece of the inside once again is 5 1/4 inches by 3 7/8 of an inch. Just for those that do like me to give the measurements. But my rule of thumb is when I'm layering with different colours is I basically just go down 1/4 of an inch. So it's very easy. Don't beat yourself up about the measurements when you're layering different colours, because that's all you need to remember. Just go down by 1/4 of an inch. So just going to pop that just run my finger around the outside, close it, and just give it a bit of a wipe. And then you've got your inside of your card, and you've got plenty of room to write up the top there. I just think it's nice to have that inside. So then I think what we'll do is we'll put a piece of embossed Bermuda Bay on there straight away. And normally I would use multi-purpose liquid glue, but because I've embossed it, I think I need the extra adhesive, so I'm going to use the snail. Now that is 3 7/8 of an inch by 3 1/4 of an inch. So I'm just going to I do like the multi-purpose glue, because if I don't get it on exactly straight, it does give me a little bit of leeway to move my card. And you can see I'm just going off the corners onto my grid paper there, because I really want to make sure that I get plenty of adhesive on here. Only for the fact that I've embossed it. So I'm just going to, it's very sticky now. So we're just going to put that down and just have a look at the top and the bottom and the sides. Just try and get it as equal as you can, because we've put a lot of adhesive on that, and if you don't get it straight, you haven't got any, you cannot pick it up. Like, that's not going to come off. And I think that just makes it look a little bit nicer, rather than just having the plain Bermuda Bay. And you can use any embossing folder you like. Doesn't have to be Stampin' Up. So then we're going to put a piece of Smoky Slate down the middle there. And for this I'm going to use my multi-purpose glue, because in case I don't get it straight, seeing it's going right down the center. Now this piece of Smoky Slate measures 2 1/2 inches by 5 1/4 of an inch. So we're just going to put some multi-purpose glue as close to the edges as I can without getting it all over me. Bit in the middle. Now you can use your grid paper if you want to, just to see how many squares each side. But so like looking at the squares across the top, if you really want to, you can line that up on the line. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we've got about 20 squares across the top. So I think I'm just going to have about 4 squares either side. That's a good way to 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Yep. And that's going to be as straight as I want it, really. Just trying to get it into the middle. So all I did there was have this black piece lined up across one of these lines, and I counted in 4 squares each side. And it doesn't matter how big your squares are, you're just trying to get it looking as centered as possible. So you've got it right in the center there. That's the only reason I did that. So just wipe this glue off my hands. Now we're going to get our brayer and our piece of Very Vanilla, which was 2 1/4 inches by 5 inches, and we're going to sponge that. Now I'm going to sponge it in Smoky Slate because that goes with my colour scheme. So we're just going to roll it in one direction. Don't go backwards and forwards, just roll it off in one direction. And we're just going to, and it's just up to you how much coverage you want on here. It's amazing how much ink the little sponge brayer does have on it, because it looks like there's no ink on there, but when you go to put it down, it's just amazing. So, and it is a very quick technique. I really love this sponge brayer. And then after you finish using it, you just rinse it, you take it off the brayer handle, and you just rinse that under a cold tap, and it'll just rinse out, and then just leave it overnight to dry, and you're good to go tomorrow. If I was making a lot of these cards, I would just do all the sponging at once. But I find this is less messy rather than using the sponges. This is just so much more easier. So now we're going to just put my glue back upside down. So now we've got our piece of sponged panel for the center, and we're going to stamp this flower here on it now. So we're just going to take that out, and I'm just going to grab the Misty and bring that back in. Open it up. So this is the good thing with the misty corners, because you don't have to have it down here, because we're going to be stamping a little bit off. So just going to pop that down there. Then I'm going to, I've already done my sentiment and I'll tell you about that in a minute, but I just need to see where the sentiment is going to sit. So I want that to be about there. And we're going to stamp that in early espresso. So I'll just remove that for now. And bring that across and just stamp that down, and we'll see if we need to re-stamp it. Yeah, I think I would like a little bit more ink on that. Good thing about the Stampin' Up ink, it does dry a lot faster. I do use the VersaFine little 1-inch cube stamps, and they're more of a vibrant colour, but they do take a little while to dry. So that's that end. Then we're going to pop that in about there. So then we're just going to keep that in place there. I'll just wipe off the ink off that stamp. And then we're just going to pop it across this side. So I think about there. And then we're just going to take our early espresso again and stamp that up. I'm not really fussy because I always know I can go back and re-ink it when I'm using my Misty tool. If you're using acrylic blocks, it is a bit harder, but you know, there's a lot of Misty tools on the market. You don't have to get the Misty brand, but it is the original one and it is very good. So I've just noticed a little bit of ink on there. And then we're just going to stamp that down there. And just slip that off. And we've got our front panel done. See how easy that is? Just wipe that off. Wipe my sponge off. These Fawn Lawn chamois are really good when you're using the Misty, and you just rinse them out afterwards when you're finished. So I'll just close up that ink. So then we're just going to glue that onto there. So once again we'll use the multi-purpose glue. And I really am liking this colour scheme with the cardstock. I think the Bermuda Bay and the black really go well together. Try and get it as close as to the side as we can, but we don't want it to be oozing out when we put it down. But I always have a couple of cotton buds nearby just in case I need to clean that up. So just need to just look at the top and bottom. Remember, I'm using the multi-purpose glue, so I can move it a little bit. So I just want that top piece to be straight and the bottom piece, and then just gently slide down. Hopefully no glue's going to ooze out on me. All good so far. And then just across the bottom and the top. So I think that you can see it's quite effective, and it's just a really easy, quick card. Now with the sentiment, I've got praying for you that I'm going to put in there. There's a lot of different sentiments in the thoughts and prayers stamp sets that you can use. So what I've used before coming on camera, I stamped my image and then I cut out the image with the smallest of the layering ovals, and then the next size up I cut a piece of basic black out. Okay, and then what I did was with the piece of Smoky Slate, I just put 3 dimensionals on the back and then adhered that to the basic black. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to put a little bit of multi-purpose glue on there and pop that onto there. Now you can add rhinestones and things like that to it. That's your personal choice, but I think when it's something that someone isn't feeling well, and I'm just going to leave the rhinestones off this time. So you could use this as a sympathy card. You could use it as I am praying for you, someone's not well, a get well card. You could even use it as a happy birthday card. It's just such a versatile stamp set. It was made as a sympathy set with that theme in mind, but I find I use it for a lot of different occasions. So there's the card today. I think it's a few techniques there for you to try, and then you've got your little tree inside and plenty of room to write on. So I hope that's helpful for you to try with the stamp sets you've got, or if you've got the thoughts and prayers, you can use that one. And thank you for subscribing to my channel, and until next time, happy crafting.